Friday night, right?
It was a Friday night.
Their daughter Peyton had been looking forward to it for weeks.
You remember how excited she was that Friday?
Oh my gosh, she was so excited. She squealed and jumped up and down.
Excited when her mother told her she could go to her sleepover early.
Picked up even earlier than she
was expecting. She was so excited.
And had she gone on sleepovers before?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just her best friend's birthday party.
Another Friday night.
And then they were talking about it for weeks.
They were going to go skating?
They were going to go skate. Peyton loved Skateland.
So she's going to go roller skating, have some pizza, and spend the night at her best friend's house.
Yeah. They were probably going to watch a movie.
And so you thought this
and play American Girl. Peyton brought her American Girl doll with her.
She brought her American Girl.
But Peyton would not come home the next morning.
Do you think Peyton had any idea?
No. She had absolutely no idea.
No.
What she was walking into?
No. She was blindsided.
Her parents blindsided too. Friday night, they send their daughter off. Saturday morning, Mom is in the backyard.
Joe was at work. I heard the doorbell ring and the dog bark. And it was a Saturday morning at like 9:30, 9:45. And around the side of the house, up over the deck, came a uniformed officer. She had a badge and a gun. They walked around the back of the deck, asked, are you Peyton's mom? The first thing that goes through my mind is, so something has happened to somebody that I love. Because that's the only reason a uniformed officer and a detective comes to your house on a Saturday morning.
She would slowly begin to piece together what had happened in the 16 hours since Peyton had left for that sleepover. It is unthinkable. The first moment anyone would begin to learn of that horror was this call to 911.
911, we have transferred over a caller on Big Bend.
After she crawled out of the woods. And just listen, at first, the operators cannot believe what they are hearing.
Came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Correct.
Greg Steinberg was riding his bike that morning on a path that had actually been chained off. It was pure chance that he came this way.
Sir, are you with her right now?
Yes.
Is she awake?
She's awake.
Is there any bleeding going on?
Her clothing has got blood on it.
Okay, and you found her and she was just laying there?
Yeah.
Paramedics racing to the scene, and listen, the operator is still fearing that 12-year-old could be in danger.
Is there any assailants around?
I don't see anybody.
And let me know immediately if you see anything else suspicious in the area, car, person, anything. Keep your eyes open.
On that call, you can actually hear Greg comforting Peyton.
He's coming. Who did that to you?
And you were biking by and she says to you what?
Could you help me, please? I've been stabbed multiple times. I quick got out my cell phone. I was shaking and dialed 911. I just stayed with the 911 operator, and I offered her water because I had a water bottle on my bike. The other thing she said was she's having trouble breathing.
She's right here laying on the grass.
Mm-hmm.
But you had no idea how many times she'd actually been stabbed.
Unaware how many times, unaware who did this to her. He watches as the ambulance rushes her away. The hospital less than 4 miles away from that path.
So you bring her in here.
Her heart rate was very elevated and her blood pressure was low. So that was fairly ominous.
And when you looked at her, it was immediately apparent she'd been stabbed multiple times.
Yeah, to her chest and abdomen and arm and leg.
Doctors concerned she might not survive, and her mother, Stacy, has just been told Peyton has been rushed to the hospital. She's also been told it was her best friend, Morgan, who did this. She calls her husband.
I went in the house, called Joe, and I said, Peyton's been stabbed. Morgan stabbed Peyton. You need to come home. They need to rush Peyton into surgery. So then I really lost it.
So you got in the car?
Got in the car.
Minutes later, arriving.
So I walked into the trauma room that she was in, and she was pale as a ghost. She was terrified. She was crying. She couldn't breathe.
But she saw you there.
She saw me, and she put her hand out, and I rushed over to her, and I put my arms around her, and I laid next to her, and I hugged her, and I said, "You're going to be okay. It's going to be fine." But I could see that she was covered. Her arms and her legs and her abdomen were covered in stab wounds.
They pull her away from her daughter, and she can soon hear the nurses counting.
And all I hear is, there's 5 on her arm, there's 7 on her leg, and I'm thinking, 7? What? And one of the nurses says, all right, I count 19, and then the second nurse said, I count 19 as well. 19? What? There's no way.
There were so many stab wounds, it took 2 nurses to count them, 19 in all. And her little girl is now being raced down the hall.
Because then they took her into surgery.
Then they took her into surgery.
Did you say anything to Peyton as they were wheeling her away?
That I loved her and that she would be okay.
But there was something else Peyton's mother was thinking at the same time.
Morgan didn't do this, is what's going through my head. There's no way. There's no way that's what happened. Morgan is 12.
But that's exactly what investigators believe. That Morgan and the only other girl who was invited to that sleepover, Anissa Wire, did this. But they were nowhere to be found.
They had run away and the police hadn't found them yet. And we just knew that Peyton told us Morgan stabbed her and the police hadn't been able to find the girls.
And in fact, police believe those girls were walking. They were going to find a mansion in the woods.
Oh, the mansion, yeah, the mansion in the woods. They were into the Nicolay Forest because they believed that there was a mansion there that Slender Man lived in.
Incredibly, police say those girls were now headed to find a mansion where they believed a fictitious internet character truly lived. A character named Slender Man, who police say they were hoping to impress. All while their 12-year-old friend Peyton is in the OR, fighting off death. When we come back, the doctors who discover it is worse than anyone thought. We're with the surgeon who saves her.
It's less than a millimeter between living and dying.
Yes.
And suddenly, authorities find those 2 other girls. What they reveal about why they did it. And later tonight here, their 12-year-old survivor, Peyton, who you will never forget.